Welcome to Foster Talk with Dr. John, live right here, Facebook Live. So glad you're joining us on this Tuesday night. I'm your host, Dr. John DeGarmo, founder and director of the Foster Care Institute. I am so glad that you're here with us tonight. We do it every Tuesday and Thursday night. I'm sorry, that's not true. We do it every Tuesday night. Used to do it Thursday nights. Every Tuesday nights, right here live on this Facebook page. And for the next 30 minutes, we're answering your questions. Going to give you the help that you need, providing you the resources, the skills, the answers that you need as you care for children, foster care, as you care for children in crisis. Whether it's foster care, whether it's parenting, whether it's adoption questions, whether it's kinship questions, we want to make sure that you get the help you need. You know, being a foster parent, I've said this so many times, being a foster parent is a very challenging job. It is a very unique lifestyle. And it's one that your friends and family members, hey, they're not really going to understand. No one really understands a foster parent unless it's another foster parent. That's why what we do right here live on Tuesday nights is so important. Think of it as your personal foster parent support group. Think of it as your personal space where you can go and say, hey, I need help. I'm struggling with this, whatever it might be, without getting any type of judgment, condemnation, whatever it might be. Again, your friends and family members don't really understand what you do. The only person who gets what you do is another foster parent. And we want to make sure that you get your help. Hey, I'm your host, Dr. John DeGarmo, founder and director of the Foster Care Institute. Been a foster parent myself the last, 2 decades now. Over 60 kids have come through my home, as many as, get this, you might already know the answer, right? As many as 11 in my house at the same time. Oh yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? Most difficult thing I've done, at the same time, the most rewarding thing I've done. And I'm so glad to do it. I want to say hello to Shannon. Hello, Shannon. Thank you for joining us tonight. I see that Michael's here tonight. Lisa's here tonight. Tiara. Angel's here tonight. Hello, Sherry. Glad you're here. Elena's here. So glad you're here with us as well. So get those fingers flying. Whatever you're struggling with right now, whatever you need help with right now, the number one thing is saying, Dr. John, I need help. I just can't do such and such. Or Dr. John, if I don't get your help, I'm going to quit. Dr. John, I'm at my wit's end. Whatever you need help with. I've probably experienced it myself. Remember, I've been a foster parent myself, adoptive parent myself. I know what it's like. I know the unique challenges, very unique, specific challenges that we as foster, adoptive, kinship parents face. So that's why we come together to get the help that you need. So for the next 30 minutes, 7 to 7:30, right here, let your friends know, tell them to come on. Give it a big thumbs up here, like it. Let us know that you're here so we can give you the help specifically that you need. Hey, Shannon, glad you're here this tonight. So I want to go to our first question tonight. Again, get those fingers flying. Let us know what you need to know. Jen asks this. What info are we allowed to have, like if the parents are working on case plan, who will supervise visits? Great question, Jen. Thank you so much for asking. Jen, you should be able to know all that information, right? You should be able to know all the information because you're caring for the child in need. Sure, there are FERPA laws to be sure. There are privacy laws to be sure. But the questions you asked about in regards to what you should know when you're working the case plan, you should know that information. You should know who's supervising the visits, okay? You should have that information. You might want to ask, if you feel comfortable, Jen, maybe you want to supervise that visit. Of course, you don't have to. Caseworkers often do that. Maybe your supervised visits could be at a neutral environment. You know, many churches, Jen, many churches and faith-based groups do visitations through a safe haven program where the foster parent drops off the child. The birth parent comes and visits the child during visitation in a very neutral, warm, inviting atmosphere, a church or faith-based organization. Members of that faith-based group are trained to act as a supervisor or monitor. Perhaps it's something you want to do there. But Jen, pretty briefly, you should be able to have that information about how the parents are doing, who's supervising visits. It's just a question you can simply ask your caseworker, and your caseworker probably, most likely, will let you know. Great question, Jen. Thank you so much for asking, and thank you for being here. Let's go on to some other questions here. Hey, Kimberly, glad you're here tonight. And I see that, is it pronounced Britta? If I butchered it, I'm so sorry. But if I did pronounce it correctly, Britta, thank you for joining us. Hey, if you're a person of prayer, let's send up a prayers to my dear friend Jen Lilly, who is very pregnant and might just have her baby. Gosh, maybe today. You know Jen from, of course, all those Hallmark movies. You also might know her from her and I went to Washington, D.C., and we're going to continue to go to D.C. working on foster care reform. She's also hosted this a couple times with me, Foster Talk with Dr. John. She's been a special guest, and we're writing a book together. So if you're a person of prayer, lift those prayers up for Jen as she's expecting her fourth child. She's adopted two from foster care herself. All right, this is Foster Talk with Dr. John. I'm your host, Dr. John DeGarmo. So glad you're here with us tonight, answering your questions the next 30 minutes, whatever you're struggling with, whatever you need help with. The number one thing, I'm going to put it right here. The what are you struggling with right now? What questions do you need answered? All right. Okay, right there. Great. So again, get those fingers flying. Let us know what you need help with. We're going to go on to a question, and no questions are off limits. You want to ask questions about myself as a foster parent for 60 plus kids, I'll be happy to answer anything. If you read my books, you saw my TED Talk, you know how transparent I am, right? You have questions about maybe working with the birth parents, maybe working with a caseworker, maybe the child is suffering in your home who has anger issues or eating disorders, sleeping disorders, reactive attachment. Maybe you've adopted a child and you might be experiencing what 65% of adoptive parents experience, post-adoption depression. You get the help tonight so you can continue to care for those children who are placed in your home. Okay, I want to go on to Melinda. Melinda asks this: encouraging a child to ask for things or want things. She's 16-year-old. She's used to not getting things she asks for, so she doesn't ask. Therefore, she discourages herself internally from wanting something because she either doesn't deserve it or thinks it is unattainable. This also makes her not plan future things. She doesn't plan growth or growing up any future plans. How do we encourage her to plan and have expectations and ask for things she wants? Great question, Melinda. You know what? All of that. And she's also has ADD, ADHD, and depression and RAD. Oh, wow. Well, that's going to be tough to be sure, Melinda. But all those things are kind of common. You know, it's very common for youth in foster care to not have a plan for the future because they don't see a plan. They don't see a plan. And why should they? You know, they've lived a life of disappointment. They've lived a life of perhaps betrayal. Maybe the people who they've cared for the most and counted on the most have betrayed them in some fashion. So that's very normal, Linda. As far as ADHD and depression and RAD, I would encourage you to begin with, Linda. If she's not getting personal therapy, she's not seeing a professional therapist or a counselor, to make sure that you schedule that right away. She needs to see some type of therapist, some type of counselor. This is not something, Melinda, that you can take care of all by yourself. This isn't one of those things, Melinda, where love heals everything. Love does heal a lot, but doesn't heal all wounds. So she's going to need help. She's going to need professional help. And that's not a failure on your behalf, Melinda. That does not mean that you're a bad foster parent. This does not mean you can't help her. You can help her by getting her the help, the professional help that she needs right now. Okay, so think about professional therapy, professional counseling services. You might also, Melinda, want to consider maybe doing some family therapy sessions. Okay, family therapy sessions. You know, I talked about recently on one of our foster care tips of the week, right here at the Foster Care Stew, about surprises. Maybe you want to convert some surprises with some gifts. Nothing extravagant. Maybe just, you know, just because gifts, just because cake, or just because balloons, or just because a little bit of jewelry, just because, right? To help to encourage you to recognize that she's worth it. She is of value. She deserves these type of things. Celebrate every small success that she does in your house, Melinda. Continue to encourage her, continue to give her words of affirmation and praise and care. Let her know that she's loved, let her know that she's worthy. But most importantly, Melinda, I encourage you to consider a family therapist or counselor, somebody in your area. Maybe ask your caseworker. Maybe ask your caseworker if there's one in your area who is available. Great question, Melinda. Thank you so much for asking, and thank you for being here tonight. Foster Talk with Dr. John. I'm your host, Dr. John DeGarmo. We're doing it right here, 7 to 7:30. We've got 20 minutes left. 20 minutes left. Want to make sure that we get your questions. Whatever you're struggling with tonight, whatever you need help with tonight, we want to know. Lady says, I love the idea, just because idea. Thank you, lady. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Jen says, how much should the worker help the parents and when does it become too much? I think we've hit the too much mark. Hey, Jen, appreciate you asking. I guess, Jen, what you're referring to is the birth parents. Well, that's a tough question to ask, Jen. If you've read some of my books, Jen, if you read some of my books and you recognize and you know, Jen, that some of my kids I've adopted are third generation foster care. Their birth parents and grandparents were also in care. They never got the help they needed. And that's what it's like for many of these birth parents. They don't have the help that they need. That they needed when they were a child. Maybe they're suffering from anxiety. Maybe these birth parents of your kiddos, Jen, are suffering from their own trauma, their own past anxiety, from a child they never got help with. So the caseworker should be able to help those parents, but at the same time, there can be that too much mark. Yes. Jen, what you might want to do is you might want to ask the caseworker if there's anything that you can do to help those parents. Maybe you can do some co-parenting if you feel comfortable with that. We've got a great section in the book, the Foster Parenting Manual, on that. Jen, you also might want to check out the two webinars here at the Foster Care Institute. Caseworkers and caseworkers and foster parents working together, and birth parents and foster parents working together. Again, caseworkers and foster parents working together, birth parents and foster parents working together. Okay, check out those two webinars there, Jen. I think that's going to give you some help. And recognize again that maybe these birth parents need a little bit of extra help because they never got the help they needed when they were a child, and maybe you can help them as well. Really appreciate you asking, Jen. Thank you for being here. Hey, this is Dr. John DeGarmo, Foster Care Institute. Oh, Jen wants to know, where are those webinars? Jen, very simple. At the end of the session, Jen, at the end of the session tonight, I'm going to go back to your question. I'm going to post a link, and Jen, you can sign up tonight. I hope you do. I hope you do, Jen. Sign up tonight for unlimited access to over 65 hours of training webinars, CEUs, licensing hours that you need, printable certificates, Jen, with your name on it, so you can get those licensing hours, 15 free ebooks, and so much more for a price, Jen, that's going to blow your mind. It is so inexpensive, less than 74 cents a webinar. So I'm going to send you that link, Jen, so look for that, okay? Okay, Sherry. Hello, Sherry. Glad you're here. Sherry says, Dr. John, we also had 11 kids at one time. Yeah, it's tough, Sherry, isn't it? Mostly sibling groups that are farm home. Quite an experience. We started with 5, and Oregon increased our number quickly. Thanks for doing what you do. Great grandma Sherry Paloma in Arizona, 74 years strong. Fantastic, Sherry. Thank you so much. I'm going to give that a big heart there. A big heart. Sherry, thank you for what you do. Thank you for caring for those kiddos. Hey, this is Dr. John with Foster Talk with Dr. John. I'm your host. Glad you're here with us tonight. Whatever question you need help with tonight, we are making sure you get the help that you need. No questions off limits, of course. And remember this, foster parenting is such a different kind of lifestyle. And I underline the word lifestyle. No one understands the word lifestyle than other foster parents. Your friends and family members, they think they might know what you're doing. They think they might get it, but in truth, they're probably wondering, why are they doing this? They can't help every child. How crazy they are. Some people might even think you're in it for the money. Some people might think you're crazy. You know what? That part's a little bit true, right? That part's a little bit true. We've got to be a little bit crazy to do what we do as foster parents, right? Would you agree? Give me a thumbs up or say amen if you agree that we got to be a little bit crazy to do what we do. I'm going to write in the word crazy. We are crazy. It is so true. All right, let's go on to your other questions here. We've got about another 15 more minutes. We're answering your questions right here live. Jody says, how do we help our 16-year-old stop drinking alcohol? It ends in violence and handcuffs every time. She is in AD counseling, but says she's been sober for a year. Complete denial of her behavior, and then it leads to police charges, breakdown in friends, boyfriends, and family. How to help her shift out of denial? Well, Jody, the best thing you've done is you've come and asked the question because you recognize that there's a problem. She doesn't recognize it, but you recognize it. We also have to recognize that she's 16 years old. So she might think, Jody, that she knows it all, right? In addition, she does not want to be in your home. No youth in foster care, no teenager in foster care wants to be in foster care. The system may have failed them in some fashion. Their family may have failed them. You're strangers to them. Sure, you provide a loving, stable home, but at the end of the day, they don't want to be labeled a foster kiddo. So they may have some of that anger, that denial. So what you need to do, I'm sure you already know this, is she needs to get help. She needs to get professional help that you can't provide. She needs to get uh, she needs to get counseling sessions. In addition, Jody, you need to make sure you're documenting everything that's happening in your home, so there's no false accusations. There's no false allegations from her, from some of her birth family or biological family members, because this is a you're in a challenging time here, Jody. You're in a challenging time. You're in a challenging situation. You've got to make sure that you protect yourself. So make sure you document everything, Jody. How do you do that? Right here at the Foster Care Institute, there's a book that you can download, Foster Parent Documentation Book. It has all the forms, files, logs, everything that you need to properly document, Jody. That's what you've got to do. You've got to properly document everything that's happening in your home. Okay. If you don't, you're placing yourself in danger. So my suggestions for you are this: get professional help, professional counseling sessions, protect yourself, and document everything. Download the documentation book if you don't have it already. Third of all, get some type of support group for not only her, but for you, because this is going to be exhausting. This is going to be exhausting. Make sure your own family members are safe at all times, and continue to support her, continue to love her. Don't turn your back on her, because then she's going to feel another form of rejection. She's going to dive even deeper into it, okay? So support her. Don't support the behaviors, but support her as a person. Don't love the behavior, but love her as a person. That's what she needs the most. There's a reason why she's behaving this way, and that is because of hey, Linda, glad you're here this tonight. Thank you. That's because of some of the anxiety and trauma she's experienced in the past, and she's trying to escape that. Again, it's tough. It's tough. I really appreciate you asking, Jody. Thank you so much for being here. Um, and let us know how it goes. Jody, keep us updated, okay? Hey, this is Foster Talk with Dr. John. I'm your host, Dr. John DeGarmo, founder and director of the Foster Care Institute, foster parent myself to over 60 plus kids, author of all these books behind me and so much more. And like yourself, I recognize this is hard. This is not easy doing what we do. Foster parenting it's a tough job. It's a tough job. Yes, there are days where I want to quit. Yes, there are days where I'm literally exhausted. Yes, there are days where I thought I'm just so tired. But at the end of the day, it's the most rewarding thing I've ever done. And you probably feel the same way as well. Okay, reading through some of your questions here, we want to make sure that you get the answers that you need. Whatever you're struggling with right now, whatever you're struggling with, type it in, and let's get you the help tonight that you need. Rosanna asks this. Hello, Rosanna. Welcome to Foster Talk with Dr. John. Well, Rosanna asks, how to keep the mom taking and keeping things from the diaper bag. Okay. Then I need to ask the case aide. Then she asks the mom, when the mom sends me emails saying that her new puppy ate the stuff she took, one of the items was a container with 3 spots to keep the let's see, 3 spots to keep his formula. I made the mistake of filling it up, and now it's gone. Specifically, now that it's hard to find his formula, it makes me feel once again that no one cares. I thought they supposed to bring everything the child might need for the visits. It's an emergency backup. Rosanna, that's a good question. Thank you so much for asking. Keep this in mind, Rosanna, that it's a good chance that the reason the mom's taking those things is because she doesn't have them. She doesn't have them, and she's not able to get them. Perhaps she is really struggling financially, Rosanna. So she might be taking those things. Have I been there myself? Yes, absolutely. And I initially was upset, Rosanna. Initially, I was getting upset. Well, why is mom taking all these things? I bought this thing myself. Mom should be supporting buying these things herself. Then I recognized, you know what? Mom's probably not in the place to do it. Mom's probably struggling to hang on. And if this is some way that I can help mom by providing these things, then that's okay. So maybe you want to sit down with mom and say, "Hey, mom, I noticed a few things are missing. Is there anything I can help you with? Can I help you with bottles? Can I help you with formula? Even though mom's supposed to bring those things, many times it falls upon us, the foster parents, and that's okay. That's okay. Is it hurt financially? Yes. Yes. But at the same time, we need to recognize that there's a reason why the mom's acting this way. And again, it's probably because she is desperate. She is desperate. She's hanging on by her fingertips. She just doesn't know what to do next. And she's probably a little bit scared, a little bit frightened that she's going to have the children taken away permanently. So, Roseanne, if you can help with those resources, um, I encourage you to do so. I encourage you to do so. Great question, Rosanna. Let us know how it turns out. A tough question. I completely understand what you're going through there. Um, but at the same time, I want to thank you for all that you do for these children. I want to thank you for caring for these children in need. And, Rosanna, think about it this way. You are an example to that birth mother. You're an example of what a parent looks like. You might be, Rosanna, the very first positive example, positive role model that this birth parent has ever experienced, this birth parent's ever had. So she's watching you not only to see how you care for her child, but she's watching you to see if there's any judgment upon her. She's watching you to see if how to treat a child, her child. She's watching you how to be a parent. So whatever you say, whatever you do, just recognize this. Mom is watching you, and you are her example of what it's like to be a parent. So when that child does go back to mom, or if the child goes back to mom, mom's going to learn a lot from you. Mom's going to learn a lot from you by observing you, by listening to you, by working alongside of you. So I don't want to say give mom a little bit of leeway here, but understand where she's coming from. And again, if you can help her out by providing some of these things that she needs, that's excellent. I would encourage you to do so. Hey, this is Foster Talk with Dr. John. I'm your host, Dr. John DeGarmo, founder and director of the Foster Care Institute. We're answering your questions for the next 5 more minutes here. So whatever you're struggling with, get those fingers flying. Whatever you need help with, of course, no question is off limits. We want to make sure that you get the help that you need. And now listen, if for some our brand new newsletter went out this morning. It goes out to over 12,000 people, the Foster Care Institute newsletter. Hopefully you got the newsletter today. If you did not, for some reason, type in I want newsletter. See there's fingers flying there. I want newsletter. Put your email address. I want newsletter. Put your email address. We'll make sure you get the newsletter first thing tomorrow morning. It's filled with the Foster Care Institute news, tip of the week, the motivational moment, the Foster Care 101 video lesson, and so much more. Of course, all the foster care news you need each week. You want to make sure that you get it. So again, type in I want newsletter, put your email address. We'll make sure you get that newsletter first thing tomorrow morning. All right. Hey, I want to welcome Lainey for being here. Lainey, welcome to Foster Talk with Dr. John. So glad you're here with us tonight. I see that Steven's here tonight. I see that Cheryl's here. Hey, Cheryl, welcome. Alexandra's here as well. Shannon is here. And Tiara is here. Thank you, everybody, for being part of Foster Talk with Dr. John. We want to make sure that we get your questions answered tonight. The next few minutes, whatever you need help with, let us know. Let us make sure that you get the help. Think of this again as your own personal foster parent support group. Listen, foster parenting is hard. There have been those moments where I've just thought, I just can't do this anymore. So I wrote a number of books to help myself. And now I want to make sure that you get the help you need. This best-selling book right here is, right there. There we go. There we go. The Foster Parenting Manual has all the answers that you need. Great book right there behind it, below it. Where is it? There it is. There it is. A Different Home, A New Foster Child Story is a beautifully illustrated children's foster care book if you're looking for a book for the kids in your house. And of course, we've got several there as well. Just go to the Foster Care Institute and get the books that you need there. All right. Let's see. What are you struggling with tonight here? A lot of. I mentioned this earlier tonight. What a lot of adopted parents don't recognize is this harsh truth. And I've adopted 3 kids myself. 65%. That's right. 65% of adoptive parents experience post-adoption depression syndrome. PADS. Post-adoption depression syndrome. So if you've adopted a child and you think, you know what, adoption's over, it's going to be a happy ending ever after, that's often not the case. There's post-adoption depression for the child. They may have feelings of guilt, or loyalty, confusion, identity. Adoption is also a sense of a time of loss. Believe it or not, adoption is a time of loss. They've lost their birth parents, okay? They've lost that family connection. So adoption can be challenging for kiddos post-adoption, but 65% of adoptive parents also experience post-adoption depression as well. Did you know that? Most likely you did not. We have a whole webinar right here at the Foster Care Institute about post-adoption. And if you've adopted a child from foster care system, or if you adopted a child in general, I would encourage you, strongly encourage you to check out that webinar right here at the Foster Care Institute. Okay, let's see if we can get any more questions here. A couple more minutes here, right here, live. Foster Talk with Dr. John. We're answering your questions live. What do you need help with? I see that Kathy's here tonight and Laura is here tonight. Thank you, Laura and Kathy, for being part of us. Rosanna, great questions tonight. Thank you for being here. Lexi is here too. And Melanie. Melanie, welcome to Foster Talk with Dr. John. We had a question earlier. Somebody asked me earlier late last week, Dr. John, how do I help my own children, my own biological children, interact with the kiddos from foster care in our home? First of all, you need to recognize this. Not every placement is going to be the perfect placement, right? So even before you've said yes to a placement in your home, you've got to ask a few questions here. Is this placement the best for my home at this time? Is this child a good fit for my family at this time? Is my family a good fit for the child at this time? Can we provide the specific resources and support services this child needs right now? And if any of those questions are no, any of those answers are no, then you need to say no. It's okay to say no to a placement sometimes, because you are making sure that the child gets the best services that child needs, right? Lane says, we adopted 6 years ago. Good for you, Lane. Oh, Lane says, Bio Family reached out to my 15-year-old son today on social media. I don't want to discourage contact, but what limits should I set? Well, Laney, he's 15 years old, and so that means he inhabits social media, right? You and I, Laney, might live in an online world. He is going to inhabit that world. Laney, I'm looking for a book right here. Laney, this is a book that you need to get. Keeping Foster Children Safe Online. Keeping Foster Children Safe Online. We answer all the questions that you just mentioned. We also have a couple webinars, Lady, that you need to watch as well. And they're about online safety here at the Foster Care Institute. And if you want to get a signed copy of it, just go ahead to the website and purchase a copy, and we'll get a copy out to you tomorrow in the mail. But you need to set some guidelines. First of all, you need to make sure that you're monitoring his time online, right? So he does not need to have a phone or electronic device in his room, right? That's an absolute no. He could be charging the phone and the computer or the online device, whatever it might be, in your kitchen at nighttime, maybe 9 o'clock, maybe 10 o'clock. You need to have a cutoff time, all right? You need to be monitoring it in the weekends as well. You need to be checking in to see who he's talking to online, who's reached out to him, because Laney, it goes far beyond his birth mother, okay? It also goes out to those predators who recognize how vulnerable he is and might want to lure him with some false lies and false promises and false hopes. Next thing you know, Laney, he could be a victim of human trafficking. So it can be very scary. It can be very, very scary. So you've reached out, you've adopted him 6 years ago. Okay, I understand that. So in regards to the fact that he was in foster care and now he's adopted, you can set limits on that. First of all, you might want to consider having visitations in place. Maybe you want to have, maybe if he feels comfortable with this, maybe he wants to meet mom at the local restaurant or the local park in your area. And of course, it's supervised or monitored perhaps by you if you feel comfortable with that. Laney, again, it's pretty tricky time there. You don't want to go too far because that 15-year-old is going to lash out because he's at that age, Laney, where he knows everything, right? I wouldn't discourage contact, but I would certainly limit it. Okay, so again, think about call mom up and say, "Hey, mom, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Your son's doing great as well. Would you like to meet maybe once every 6 months at the local coffee shop? Maybe for half an hour. Ask your son how he feels about that as well. Maybe ask him to set some time limits as well. And if you do something like that, then lady, you might want to say, okay, son, if you feel uncomfortable anytime, give me a little warning sign. Give me a warning, a word that tells me that we need to get out of there. Maybe it's something like, I'm really, really hungry now, or I'm thirsty, or whatever it might be. Just some type of words that tells you that he's uncomfortable, he's ready to go. Okay. If you have those visitations in place, that might cut back on some of the online time as well. But again, I'm going to stress he should not have a device in his room at that age. The frontal cortex is not fully developed until 25 years of age. Some people are saying not even 30 years of age. So he's not old enough to be making responsible decisions. Okay, he's not old enough to be making responsible decisions. So there's no way in the world he needs to be having a device online, because at 1 o'clock in the night, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, who is he talking to? Who's he chatting with? Those are questions you need to be knowing, because again, it could be a predator out there who's luring him in. He could be doing some stuff online that you don't want him doing. All right. So again, here's that book right here, Keeping Foster Children Safe Online. I would encourage you to pick up a copy at the Foster Care Institute. It's going to have a lot of answers for you. Wow, 30 minutes went by already and we're done. Hey friends, if you don't have a copy, if you don't get the Foster Care Institute newsletter, again, it has all the foster care news you need. The Foster Care 101 video tip, the Foster Care webinar of the week, the motivational moment, the video tips of the week, and so much more. I want to make sure you get it. Just type in I want newsletter, put your email address. I want newsletter, email address. Over 12,000 people get it every single week. I want to add you to the list. Finally, I want to appreciate you being here. Thank you for all that you do. Remember, you are a superhero. Remember, you are an angel, because you're doing some things that so few people are willing to do. And that is make sacrifices of your life, of your family, of your home, of your time, but providing a place of stability, of structure, of care, and unconditional love for those children who need it the most. I hope you join us here next Tuesday night, right here live. Tell your friends, invite your friends, tell them to come, so we can come together as a foster parent support group. Find more information at my website, the Foster Care Institute, or just type in Dr. John DeGarmo Foster Care Institute. Sign up for those online training webinar programs, so tonight you can get the webinars and CEUs and licensing hours you need. For the Foster Care Institute, I'm Dr. John DeGarmo. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next Tuesday night.